This just took another turn as the Raptors are big fish hunting this offseason, according to multiple reports, and they've been linked to Giannis Antetokounmpo. They've been linked to Kevin Durant in terms of trades and the pursuit of some of the biggest names across the league. However, things just changed in a major way over the past 24 hours, and some Raptors fans are going to be excited about this. As I've read the comment section, I've read all these different outlets. Raptors fans are split on the pursuit of some of these big-name players, including Giannis Antetokounmpo, given the price, given the expense, despite the fact Giannis is a top 3 player in the NBA, despite the fact we've been on the hunt for him for years now at this point. Realistically, Masai Ujiri, Giannis watch, all this would come at a very extreme price, and these new developments really shift how things are looking out here on the pursuit of these top star players. So we're going to break down what these latest updates are and how the Toronto Raptors are going to adjust with their offseason plans moving forward to the NBA draft, which is just a couple weeks away now at this point, and then of course free agency and the opportunities to make some big moves. So lots of stuff to break down in this vid, but folks, you guys have been crushing it. Hitting that subscribe button as we continue to figure out what Masai Ujiri's plans are this offseason. So if you're part of the over 47% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, you're tuning into the daily videos and you're enjoying the content, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. But let's jump into it because we have a lot of stuff to really cover and jump into. So for context, right, the Raptors, as I said at the jump, they are a team that's starting to make some noise around the league looking for a big fish. Brian Windhorst said this, and then that basically opened the floodgates in terms of different guys that are going to be targeted, especially where Shams came out with a report saying Giannis might be open to a trade this off season. We saw that report, and then everything kind of snowballed from there. And then we also had the update regarding KD, but we'll jump into that stuff later. But starting on Giannis, because he is the primary guy that people have been looking at for a Raptors fit, given how many years we've been targeting this man. But things definitely took a major turn over the past 24 hours as news came out from Brian Windhorst, despite all the other reports, saying that right now there's no Giannis Antetokounmpo trade market. There's no Giannis trade discussions. He has not asked for it. The Bucks are not looking to trade him. Now, people will look at this and shut this down. And yes, we should put the brakes on when a report like this comes out from Brian Windhorst. We should put the brakes on all the Giannis talks, Giannis speculation out there in the short term. Now, he did say right now, he didn't say, hey, Giannis is committed to being with this franchise forever. We have heard little, cracks in the armor for Giannis's, tight-knit relationship with the Bucks and everything like that. But we heard these minor reports that we covered out here on the channel about, hey, expectations are that Giannis is going to stay with the Milwaukee Bucks now, but come from Brian Windhorst, that's just one level below Shams in terms of credibility, in terms of, assuredness. So Giannis right now isn't requesting a trade. Of course, the Bucks aren't going to trade Giannis, even if it kind of makes sense to their organization, given just where they are at as a franchise. Because, if we take a look at everything that's going on, Brook Lopez is going to be leaving the team this year. Again, he's aging and stuff. A report came out from HG Basketball saying, I'm not expecting the roster to look the way it does now. The team is likely to retain Kevin Porter Jr., and most everyone I've spoken to assumes Brook Lopez is gone. Lopez might be one of the bigger names on the market. So we're going to lose Brook Lopez. They don't really have another center option. Again, Brook Lopez fit perfectly around Giannis, just given his floor spacing and everything along those lines. But, their roster is falling apart along with the injuries to Damian Lillard, who's going to be out for the entire next year, including the absolutely brutal contract that they gave to Kyle Kuzma. Things are a mess in Milwaukee. But regardless, that organization, unless Giannis asks for a trade, it makes sense for them not to, trade away Giannis. And as much as I want Giannis to request a trade and have that opportunity to strike at a big fish, I respect Giannis for, staying with his team, staying with his market and stuff like that there. And he kind of doubled down on this reports with basically getting interviewed by a European outlet regarding the NBA Finals and saying, I'm rooting for good basketball. The finals are different. I hope to get back soon with the Bucks. Explicitly saying, hey, I want to get back to the finals with the Milwaukee Bucks is, a little subtle sign to shut down different rumors and speculation that he might be on his way out. So, again, we did hear that report from Shams. It's not like, oh, this was all smoke. This was all nothing. There was legitimate things coming out at this point. And frankly, I would not be surprised if later in the summer or come next year's trade deadline or something like that, if the Bucks are just in an absolutely bad direction. They don't have their draft picks either. It is a bad situation for Giannis if things kind of percolate back in the other direction with Giannis. But we can kind of pump the brakes on the Giannis speculation right now. But basically, as of late, the latest updates broke this down 2 days ago. If Giannis does get traded, so once this wagon comes back going again, if it does, then the Toronto Raptors are currently favorites to land Giannis Antetokounmpo. So keep your eyes peeled. It's not nothing there now, but it is only June 11th, and we have a long offseason, a long couple of years in terms of long runway in terms of how bad the Bucks are going to be moving forward to the future. So there's that. And then we also have this Kevin Durant weird situation going on because Jake Fisher came out Friday and said Toronto's likewise been painted by numerous NBA figures as a potential trade suitor for Kevin Durant, particularly if Giannis doesn't reach the open market. The Raptors, furthermore, would figure to have more realistic shot at assembling a competitive trade offer for Kevin Durant compared to the mammoth offers the Bucks would inevitably seek for Antetokounmpo's services. Now, there was a lot more attractiveness for a lot of Raptors fans in regards to trading for KD, solely off the fact the team would not have to get rid of Scottie Barnes in a Kevin Durant trade. His market is not going to be that available because he's a 37-year-old, still putting up phenomenal stats, but injuries, age, all are a part of the concerns in terms of the value that KD can provide and the value that he can actually command out there on the open market for the Phoenix Suns. So that's all stuff that we're dealing with. But again, another Raptors trade suitor seemingly being taken off the market as news has come out that a leak source has told HoopsWire that Durant prefers the Suns to trade him to the San Antonio Spurs. And frankly, there has been a lot of updates. This is the only screenshot I got or a report that I've screen grabbed. But basically, a deal to the Spurs looks like a done deal for Kevin Durant. So news has come out, news and updates that, Bill Simmons dropped this. A Bucks insider randomly said that a deal with the Spurs is looking done. The sportsbooks have essentially given the Spurs the heavy, heavy favorites, not just in terms of a trade destination for KD, but realistically in terms of, hey, this is where, KD's going to end up. So Kevin Durant, regardless of everything that's going on, he is expected to be a San Antonio Spur, and there's negotiations or stuff ongoing there. Again, things aren't official yet with the Giannis or KD situations, but KD, despite being linked to the Toronto Raptors, despite being associated with all the smoke and stuff, he's going to be a Spur. That's the expectation. That's what all the reports are saying. So we have this turn. After the last couple of weeks, the Raptors have been linked to all these big names, everything that's going on. Where does this team go from here? The really positive thing about this, because, again, I've been, break it down, how exciting it would be to get some stars and stuff, but you have to give up serious value to get some of these stars. And the Raptors right now have a really good team on their hands. They have, of course, Scottie Barnes, who's been the, guy we're building this team around over the past couple seasons. We just acquired Brandon Ingram, who hasn't even suited up for the squad just yet. Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, given all the trade talks, given the injuries, given everything that's going on, I feel like it become more underrated across the NBA. And Jakob Poeltl established himself as a really, really elite center across the NBA last season. So you have an elite starting five. You have Jacoby Poeltl. You have Ochai Agbaji. You have Gradey Dick. You have Jamal Shead. You have so many guys developing off your bench, and you have the 9th overall pick in this year's NBA draft. The Raptors, yes, it would be super cool to acquire one of those big star name guys. It would be awesome to get one of these big fish, especially if Masai Ujiri could do it in a fashion that really wouldn't just completely rip the bottom out of this roster and stuff. But Toronto, trade or not, is in a very, very optimal position to take that next step going into next season. That's why you want to pour gasoline on the fire to acquire a big fish and make one of these moves and do stuff. I don't think the Raptors are going to be done being linked to different names across the NBA just because, the two biggest fish that they've been looking at have been sort of taken out of the mix, taken out of, the wire at this point. So Masai Ujiri definitely has a ton of options. He definitely has a ton of abilities to improve this roster of the offseason, but also we have a ton of guys on this team that can have some internal development that can really take their games to the next level. And I'm looking at dudes, right? I'm noted. I've described myself as a shed head. I think he's going to surprise a ton of people over the course of this offseason, or going into next year. Development over the course of the offseason. I think we are really underrated across the NBA in regards to what talent we have at the wings, because RJ Barrett, one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Of course, Scottie Barnes gets just disrespected all the time. Brandon Ingram, people forget how good he is at basketball. And off the bench, you have Gradey Dick, Ochai Agbaji, Jacoby Poeltl, all three of the and then Jameson Battle. You have like 7-8 players deep that can play legitimate rotation minutes for this Raptors team going into next year. And then that's not to count, the draft picks that we have coming into this season, because, a lot of these guys were second round picks last year. Masai Ujiri is a second this year and also has a first in the top 10 for this season. So Toronto is going to be at a very, very good spot, despite all of these updates display everything that is being discussed, everything that's being brought up here now at this point, and, the Giannis trade stuff going through. But, don't be surprised if it starts to circulate, pick back up. We'll, of course, cover all of the latest in regards to the Raptors' pursuits over the course of this offseason. So make sure you guys keep it locked to Raptors Digest because we're on that quest to 38,000 subs, and we want to make sure that you guys are all a part of the ride for this, wild offseason that's ahead. So anyways, you guys best thing as far. Subscribe to the channel. I'm signing out. Cheers.